Give me a sec.
Just give me a sec. See, it's Christmas. Oh. It's a Christmas video. From the king of pop's involvement in the mid-90s to the rise of teen musicians wanting to crush their 40s. From sing-alongs in the Discord chat and heated debates about how Dreams of Absolution does not sound like Corey Feldman, to even dance numbers.
Go on. You're doing it now.
Sonic music has been a centre point of the series and for very good reason. It bops. When people say Sonic music, the first thought I think goes in people's heads are the vocal tracks, specifically from the early to mid-noughties, which is fair enough. There's a lot of classics that gave an added identity to the Sonic brand, was the soundtrack to a lot of famous Sonic moments, had a new purpose of memes later on, and was generally good and entertaining music, for the most part. Now it's making me feel icky and gross, and it just fits to me. No, but I feel like there's more to it than just those types of tracks. The original trilogy's tracks were mostly just background music for the levels you're running through, and they are really great, especially the ones where MJ is involved. Background music and non-diegetic music plays an important role in any visual medium, as it is a universal way to establish an emotion or set a tone for what's on screen, or even introduce an entirely new tone. Even my video essays use background music. Yes, most of the time there isn't any, but if I'm saying something quite introspective or personal, I'll slow my speech and make it softer, and the music will add to that feeling. And the opposite is also true. If I'm being wacky, funny, or crazy, video games are no different when it comes to the importance of music. Zendar and Lipscomb came to this conclusion in their journal article entry of the role of music in video games, stating that background music can cue narrative or plot changes, enhance the sense of aesthetic continuity, and cultivate the thematic unity of a video game. Which, when talking about the most popular songs in Sonic's history, it does this to a great degree. But two games stick out in my mind in having great stage music, not merely because it's catchy and well produced, but because it properly captures the feel of the accompanying locations and events. And those games are Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Colors. So a quick synopsis of Sonic Unleashed before we go on. Eggman traps Super Sonic and uses the Chaos Emeralds to split the world apart, and in return releases Dark Gaia, this malevolent deity, to help power his ideal world of Eggman Land. This drains the emeralds of its power, and it's up to Sonic and his new companion Chip to restore the emeralds and put the planet back together. Also, Sonic's a werewolf at night, but I wouldn't worry about it. One of the biggest design features that really gives this game such a grand atmosphere is the lack of your basic cookie-cutter platformer levels, such as your forest level, your water level. Instead, and in tandem with the game's Japanese title, levels are based on actual locations. A level set in China, a level set in the Arctic Circle, a level set in Greece. This game sets out to feel like you're going around the world on this adventure, with each location having its own residents, landmarks, and cultural stances and traditions that relate to real-world locations. And the music is no different in this regard. You zoom in through the arid sands of Shamar, and with the use of Arabic language and building ruins similar to those seen in Petra, of course you're going to hear Middle Eastern style music, with its complex percussion rhythms, roaring use of woodwinds such as a zurna or a kavul, and the great dexterous flair of string instruments such as the oud. Or if you're scampering among the skyscrapers in Empire City, you hear a mix of house-inspired fast drum beats with explosive catchy riffs by the trumpets. It's native Chicago music with a mix of the jazzy street performers you'd come across in New York. Even if you're busy running across the rooftops of Spagonia, it doesn't get much more European than the accordion. when you're relaxing by the Dragon Road in Chenan, which from that sentence I'm sure you can infer which part of the world this level's based on, you can hear the string instruments that replicate an arrow, and flutes that sound similar to a dizi. All the locations in Unleashed greatly tries to represent different nations through its playing style and timbre choice, while also giving it that upbeat sonic flair. The music helps the world feel like our world, with its differences and cultural identity, where music plays a big part. I'm not going to go on about immersion again, but it definitely feels like you're going on a world adventure. While Sonic Unleashed's stage music has an emphasis on location, it very easily takes into account the events in the game, such as having a day-night version of each level music and hub world music. However, I would say the music in Sonic Colors has an emphasis on events on a much deeper level. Again, if you know nothing about Sonic Colors, let me just rattle off the synopsis. Dr. Eggman has built an amusement park in space because he's a good guy now. But it turns out it's just a front for him to enslave an alien species known as Wisps, and use their energy source to control the minds of everyone on Earth to do his bidding. So Sonic and Tails go up there to stop him. The whole amusement park tone leads to some very interesting locations and environments, such as an aquarium exhibit with an oriental atmosphere, or a literal light carnival with spaceships acting as floats. However, I feel like the stage music does a better job at reflecting what is actually happening at these locations, rather than the locations themselves. Planet Wisp, as the name suggests, is the home of the aforementioned alien species, but it is in the middle of being reconstructed as part of the theme park, and holding the planet captive for the use of its resources. This can obviously be seen with the red construction taking over the luscious green environments, but also heard with piano and strings being at the forefront of the mix, but with double time and heavily quantized drum patterns underlying it, giving a more mechanical feel. Asteroid Coaster is where the Wisps are taken to be drained of the energy source, and in turn, they are mutated to this violent, dark-coloured subbreed. These Wisps do not occur naturally, and when used by Sonic, their main purpose is destruction. This complete change in tone, compared to the rest of the light-spirited tone in other levels, is portrayed in the music with hard rock and punk rock influences. Distorted guitars and hard-hitting drums, simple and repeated chord structure, and soundtracking the currents of anti-establishment and literal social corruption. Also, it's rock music. Asteroid Coaster. It just writes itself. Why am I even here? Why am I even here? Why am I even here? I should be celebrating Christmas. I haven't seen my family in weeks. Because I'm talking about Sonic music. Anyway, Terminal Velocity is the last zone in the game, where we stopped Eggman's scheme and the aliens are free. But Eggman tries to fire his big mind control ray as he has enough power to use it, but it backfires and creates a growing black hole thing that's trying to destroy the park, and now Sonic and Tails have to rush downwards towards Earth to escape, hence the name Terminal Velocity. And to show the destruction of the park and the entities not be destroyed by it, we get this area track that has clunky staccato synth line as well as an overdriven lead synth with a very short pitch range. The plot of Colors is shorter and way more simple than the multiple Sonic games that preceded it, but in a way that leaves room for the music composers to create ways to tell that story and add to it through their work, and they do a fantastic job. Both Unleashed and Colors utilize stage music to add to the game's world, its story, and its events. And yet I can't not talk about probably my favourite genre of music, the orchestral remix of the main theme for the final phase of the last boss. Try and take that, Kendrick Lamar. Damn sucked. That's what you should have done instead. In Unleashed, the final boss is Perfect Dark Gaia, the final form of this manifestation of the world's darkness that lives in the planet's core. It is about to consume the world in darkness and destroy it. The entire game is led to the epic battle inside the planet to save the world you've been travelling around. So it makes sense that the music for this level is the main theme of the game in a classical arrangement. A centuries old period of music that has heavily influenced popular music around the world today. Similarly, in colours, the final boss is the first time you actually face Eggman, in machine powered by the captured aliens while using his own version of the powers you've learned and mastered over the game, with the sole intention of killing you. It's a last-ditch effort from both Sonic and Eggman to get what they want in a high-stakes battle for their survival as everything crumbles around them. So what better way to show that you're about to win this fight than an orchestral rendition of the theme song of the game. A very niche genre of music, but a great one nonetheless. Music in the Sonic the Hedgehog series has iconic songs that, dare I say, bump in the whip. Both games that I'll talk about today show off a stellar soundtrack. If the music's syncing up with the gameplay and the narrative of each game, it creates a much more immersive product. I'm just going to read this part out. Tim Summers, in his book Understanding Video Game Music, a very distinct title, that's what you love to see, describes this phenomenon as musical texturing. He goes on to say, music in games often obviously deploys strategically chosen and musical signifiers in order to furnish the game's fictional construct. Where graphics and gameplay are technologically limited, music can use genuine music signs and or references to other media and cultural touchstones that are already well established to enhance the game's experience. Soundtracks and background music in audiovisual media are there to serve the purpose of complementing the fabricated world, and with video games being more audience-led than other audiovisual media, this is doubly important. So whether you're traversing through the Greek Isles at whatever time of day, or saving aliens from an interstellar amusement park, you can take pride in the fact that music conveys that narrative in a great and engaging way. And speaking of music that conveys narrative, I've got a hot date coming up, and apparently she's made a playlist, so wish me luck. Just a sweet